Does a scorned bride roam the halls?
Is a spirit trapped in a painting watching guests?
Which former president makes this historic hotel their haunt?
Find out the answers to these questions and more as we uncover the unnerving hauntings and history from the Driskill Hotel in Austin, Texas.
I'm Sarah.
And I'm Erica.
And this is The Haunted Atlas, a Haunted US podcast.
In the interest of fully exploring history of certain locations, Haunted Atlas may discuss sensitive or disturbing topics. Listener discretion is advised.
On a bustling intersection in downtown Austin sits a Romanesque structure that has been a cornerstone of the city for over 130 years. As opulent inside as it is outside, the oldest hotel in Austin holds a wealth of secrets, and some say ghosts. Welcome to the Driskill Hotel. Our story starts with Colonel Jesse Driskill. Driskill sold cattle to the Confederates during the Civil War and actually lost a lot of money by the end of the war.
Yeah, how do you lose money from selling cattle?
Well, it's only sustainable for so long as the war is continuing.
Okay, that makes sense.
And he was selling to the Confederates. So as the Confederates are losing...
Oh, that also makes sense. Yes.
By the late 1860s, he had moved his family to Austin, Texas, with the hopes of striking it rich in the cattle business once again, but this time not with selling to the losing side of a war.
Yes, that would be helpful.
Yes, and he actually did. He remade a large portion of his fortune and strangely ended up pivoting to building a hotel.
Clearly made enough of a profit to build a whole hotel, which is really cool.
Yeah, and it's not just any hotel. It's an absolutely stunning Romanesque hotel.
Which I am so excited to hear about. I feel like these big, grand hotels, I mean, I know that they're sort of preserved in history, but I feel like we don't really build them anymore.
No, you definitely don't. Everything is so modernized and streamlined, and the beauty just standing and looking at this hotel that sits on the corner in Austin, you're really in awe of just how stunning it is.
Yeah.
He decided to name that beautiful hotel after himself, and he opened it in 1886. However, the success was short-lived, and the hotel temporarily closed in 1887. Eventually, Driskill had to sell it after that.
So only a year?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really short amount of time. This man's economic luck has just not been super great.
He seems like the typical get rich quick, make a big fortune type of guy to me. And I think pivoting from cattle to hotel is just so vastly different, especially a luxury hotel like the Driskill.
Right.
He did die very shortly after in 1890, and it was before he could see the eventual rise in popularity of the hotel under the new management.
Which, okay, I guess this does make sense, right? Like hotels probably weren't super prevalent when people weren't traveling. And also, I didn't even think about this when you first said it, but the Confederacy lost and he went to the South. At that point, in my opinion, at least, it would have been better to go north because that probably would have been more thriving.
Yeah, I'm sure there's not a ton of excess money going around.
Right.
The hotel actually became the epicenter of Austin society at this time. So for those that did have money, this was the place to be. It hosted everything from governor's balls to other high-profile events. In 1930, there was the addition of the Maximilian Room, which was an elegant parlor room that could be used for even more events. And the hotel continued to host very famous guests. In 1934, Lyndon B. Johnson met his wife, Lady Bird, at the hotel.
Oh, that's really cool.
I know. I love a love story.
Yes.
He actually watched the 1948 Senate race and the 1964 presidential race from this hotel.
Oh, that's even cooler. I feel like it's kind of crazy that all three things happened here.
Yeah, it's clearly very important to him.
Yeah.
And he loved it so much. It was so important that him and his wife were known to frequent it for personal purposes.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, it's a beautiful hotel. All of these significant things have happened there. Mm-hmm. Why not go? Unfortunately, in 1969, the hotel closed and was actually set to be demolished.
Okay, so when did it reopen again? 1930s?
Yes.
Okay, so 40 years this time.
Well, 1930 was the addition of the Maximilian Room. It had opened after it transitioned to the new management, after the temporary closure in 1887.
Okay.
So it had been open for a while.
Yes, yes.
The locals were so outraged by this that they started a campaign called Save the Driskill, and it took over in the 1970s. And it became so prominent that they managed to save the hotel.
I wonder if this was one of the first instances of people getting involved in saving a building. Because I feel like, I don't know, of course. Maybe that was happening in the 1950s and 60s, but I feel like you hear more about that in modern times than you do back in the 1900s. So I'm interested to see if that was like one of the first or...
And I wonder about Johnson's involvement in it. If he watched the 1964 presidential race there, and only 5 years later the hotel closed and was set to be demolished, he definitely could have played a role in this.
Yeah, true.
The hotel reopened following it being saved in 1973 and has since seen multiple owners. With such a long history and a strong cast of characters, it's no wonder that it's alleged to be haunted.
Oh, definitely.
Hello, my spooky friends. This is your host, John, from Dairyland Frights, the paranormal podcast that covers everything spooky, creepy, and mysterious in the Midwest.
This is actually John. I hope my spooky voice scared you. And in this podcast, we're going to have creepy guests and spooky tales and mysterious sightings of cryptids, UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. So tune in if you dare to be scared.
Unsurprisingly, one of the prominent haunts is from Colonel Jesse Driskill himself. He was a smoker in life, and so it's no surprise to anyone that he would regularly smoke cigars throughout the hotel, even though he was only there for a year. Guests have reported the smell of cigar smoke in strange places or even when alone in their hotel room, even if it's in a non-smoking room.
Yeah.
I do always take scents with a grain of salt, because we know that they can be released with expansion and contraction of various materials. But it is interesting to note that he was a smoker and it's smelled throughout the hotel.
I think it's really interesting and important to kind of note that most buildings today are non-smoking, and so we can't attribute it to current visitors.
Right. And I think that's why it almost makes me wonder, is this just actual residual smoke? Because the hotel is so old.
Yes.
That it was definitely around during eras of smoking periods.
Right.
Because I remember when I was a kid, you could go and smoke in bars.
Yes. Yeah. I remember it being sort of a problem when I was in middle school. And then as I got into high school, that's when things started to slow down. But when I was in middle school, even, people were still trying to prevent kids from starting to smoke. I think it was way more prevalent then.
I always take that with a grain of salt, but I think the cigar smoke being the prominent scent is also interesting to me, because if I was thinking of people smoking in a bar, I would think more cigarette, less cigar.
Is that a difference? Is there a difference between cigar smells and cigarette smells?
To me, cigars smell more plant-based tobacco-y, almost fruity, versus cigarettes just smell like ash to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. One security guard claimed that they smelled smoke and then heard Driskill's disembodied voice asking for a light.
Oh, that's really cool. How did that person know it was Driskill?
That was also my kind of caveat with this. I don't know how you would know that. I think they're just assuming. And another thing that I was thinking is, was the phrase, "Can I have a light?" or asking for a light prominent in this era? Because he was only alive till 1890.
I feel like that is one of those things that would help put us in the time period of the spirit. And then we'd really be able to kind of guess who it might be.
Right. And that's where you have to pay attention, because even the smallest thing can tip you off to the historical context of it.
Right. And to note, I still think that is a really cool sort of experience for someone to have a disembodied voice say, "Can I have a light?" Even if it isn't Driskill.
Yeah, I agree. Even if it's just any ghost that's there, it's still pretty cool. The apparition of a bride has been seen throughout the hotel, and according to the bartender, she's seen walking around holding shopping bags. Allegedly, she called off her wedding and then went on a $40,000 shopping spree using her ex-fiance's credit card.
That is a lot of money.
I don't even know how you spend that.
I don't either.
I guess if you go to like Louis Vuitton or something.
Oh, fair.
But that
back then?
Right. And is that readily available in downtown Austin?
Oh, that's also a good question. I don't know. That's a lot of money to go through in a day. I mean, good for her.
And it's interesting because I couldn't find the lore of why she called off the wedding.
Yes.
But she called it off, not him.
Right.
Like, and then she's using his credit card to charge $40,000. It's like it's a double whammy. It's like slap in the face.
We're not getting married. And also, I've drained your savings.
Right.
It's like...
Right. She returned to the Driskill after her shopping spree and then went up to her room where she promptly committed suicide.
Oh, dear.
While she is known to roam the hotel, she's most commonly seen in the room where she's believed to have died, which is either room 525 or 329.
And when she's seen, does it feel malicious or is it more of just her presence is still there?
They see her with the shopping bags. So they see her pre-suicide walking. It doesn't say I didn't see anything about the overall vibe of her, but I'd assume she's fairly unhappy.
I mean, that's fair. Sometimes presences are just there versus like trying to get people to leave the room. Weddings also occur at the hotel, right? So I'm wondering too if that might set her off. If maybe she's more likely to be seen if there's like a wedding going on.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. It's a good point as well. But I think she's probably, well, I can't speculate to what she's doing. It sounds like she is just kind of running through her day because she's also sometimes seen in the hallway outside of these rooms as if she's going into them.
Okay.
According to staff interviewed, because of the frequency with which Lyndon B. Johnson and his wife used to visit the hotel, their apparitions are commonly seen walking around.
Which is really sweet. The fact that they've met there, not even that it's just a prominent place in their history, is just so nice. And I don't know, it gives me hope that like I'd get to spend my afterlife with whoever I'm with.
I know, it takes till death do us part one step further.
Yeah.
And it seems based on the story that they're so absolutely in love that they genuinely want to be there together. This is not the case of them being trapped. This is a case of getting away, like a true paradise for them, it seems.
Yeah.
What I wonder is who was the first person to identify them and what gives you the courage to say, I think I just saw Lyndon B. Johnson walking through the halls of this hotel.
You know what's funny? I would not know it was him.
Neither would I.
So that's kind of good that the person who saw them knew who it was.
Or his wife. I mean, Jackie Kennedy I could pick out. But
yes.
And maybe Michelle Obama. Not maybe Michelle Obama. Definitely Michelle Obama. And probably Laura Bush and Hillary Clinton. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's 4 out of very many presidents.
Yes.
But I also wonder, if you think of the people that might be at this hotel, if it's someone that would have been older and voted during the elections, then they would probably have a good idea.
Oh, true.
The figure of a little girl has been spotted at times, and the sounds of a bouncing ball are associated with her figure.
Which is a common trope, like a child with a toy, usually accompanying them. I'm hoping that it's like giving them comfort.
Yeah, you need something to do in your afterlife.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Just sit there? Just scare people? No. Unfortunately, her story is pretty tragic. In 1887, a little girl fell down the main staircase and died.
Oh, no.
But it seems that she still plays there in her afterlife. Not only is the shadow figure of this little girl seen, but also her laughter is heard echoing in empty rooms.
Which sounds creepy. Like, I think if I were in the room and I heard disembodied laughter, I would be creeped out. But I'm hoping that means that she has some peace. And is genuinely just having a nice time in her afterlife.
Yes, I imagine if I was walking through the lobby, heard a little girl laughing, looked around, saw no little girl, and then a ball just comes rolling down the stairs at me, I would be very terrified.
Right, yeah.
It would seem like a trick.
Yes.
But for this spirit, it might just be like, oh, hey, here, let's have some fun too. Like, let's play together.
Right.
And this is one of those cases where I'm hoping maybe she doesn't even know that she's dead. Maybe she's just still having fun, reliving her childhood, playing with this ball.
Yes, actually, that's what I was thinking too. If maybe she, of course, this is completely speculation, but like entered the afterlife and then sort of woke up in the same spot that she was in and then just stayed.
Yeah. Either way, it's really sweet that she's seen playing with her bouncy ball.
Yeah.
There is a painting on site called Love Letter that's alleged to be haunted by a malicious presence.
That's a really interesting that I have not really heard of a painting being haunted, I don't think. And I'm wondering if the malicious spirit sort of chose that painting because of the name.
Right, it's such a sharp contrast to the painting name, but not really a contrast to the painting itself.
Mm.
The painting itself depicts a young girl holding a bouquet of flowers in one hand and a letter in the other, and she's kind of tilting her head down, almost as if she has a secret. She has a little bit of a smile, so it's a little creepy. But that's not all, because behind her, there's curtains that are slightly parted that show a darkened background, so you can't quite see what's back there. So you are left wondering what's going on fully.
That's okay. So you were right. That is a stark contrast from the name. Like the painting itself sounds like it's kind of scary to look at, almost like you feel like you're not supposed to be there kind of thing.
Right. And what is this love letter? What is the intention?
Right.
Because while she has a bouquet of flowers and a letter in her hand, the look on her face and the backdrop definitely hints that something else might be going on.
Yes, love letters can be really sweet and romantic, but if they're made in the sense of unrequited love, can come across as creepy.
It's also interesting to me that it's a young girl depicted in this love letter image, because that makes me wonder what type of love letter it is. Is she delivering this letter? Not only is the content of the image interesting, but this painting is known to be incredibly haunted. If you look up top haunted paintings, this one is almost certainly on the list.
Which, again, did not know that paintings were really haunted. I'm surprised that there's even a list. And it's really interesting that a painting of a little girl is at the top of the list.
Yeah, I'm wondering if our bouncy ball little girl is the little girl that is now haunting this painting because it looks like her.
Yeah, okay. That is a really good thought. Maybe there's a version of her that doesn't know that she has passed on, and then there's a version of her that does know and just didn't know where else to go.
Or maybe we're completely wrong and she does know and she's not trying to bounce the ball. She's trying to throw the ball at people.
Right.
And she loves to haunt this painting and creep people out. Who could know?
Yeah, at different times of the day. She's like, do I want to watch people or would I like to throw a ball at them?
How irritating have the guests been? Think of the wide variety of people that the spirits at this hotel must see.
Yeah.
Because it is quite a luxury hotel. But you can also just go in and visit it and visit the bar and walk through the lobby because it is a historical building. So it's very beautiful inside. And I'm sure it draws so many visitors. These steps and the painting are in an accessible spot. You don't have to be a guest to see them. So I'd imagine that the spirits have quite a lot of interactions if they're interacting.
Right.
While the hotel does not offer ghost tours or paranormal investigations, they do, of course, allow you to book rooms. If someone was interested, they could check into room 525 or 329 for an extra spooky stay to see if they see the bride. And, of course, keep an eye out for the ghosts of presidents past.
Yes, which would be really cool. That would be who I would be looking for. Like, I would study a picture of Lyndon B. Johnson before I got there and see if I could try to spot him.
Me too. And I think that the interesting thing about the spirits here, other than the love letters, which of course is its own thing, they seem to keep to themselves.
Yeah.
While they might have some interaction, Colonel Jesse Driskill is asking for a light. The bride is just walking to her room and walking through the hall. Lyndon Johnson and Lady Bird probably don't want anyone to bother them.
Right.
If the little girl is separate from the painting, she just wants to play with her ball. So it's not a lot of malicious presences there. It just seems like people that are still there.
Yeah, and I think that tracks for a hotel, honestly, because I think most people in a hotel just kind of want to be left alone.
Right.
And so, you know, again, if their spirits are still in this environment, it might just be automatic that they're like, I just want to go to my room. Please, no one bother me. I've just spent $40,000.
And called off my wedding in the same day. That's a lot for a day.
It is.
I would also be exhausted.
Yes.
Yes. Do you have a favorite spirit? Well, you kind of said.
Yeah, I really do think being able to see Lyndon B. Johnson would be cool. What about you?
I think so too. I think the love story is so beautiful to me that it was such a prominent place for them to go during their life, and they like to spend time there in their afterlife. I think it's really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, agreed.
If you've been to the Driskill Hotel, we want to hear your stories. Email the team at Haunted US and put Haunted Atlas Episode 5 in the subject, or find us on Instagram at Haunted US and share your story there. Tune in for our next episode to see where we drop the pin on our adventure across the Haunted US. This episode of Haunted Atlas was presented by Sarah Sweeney and Erica Barrett. It was researched by Sarah Sweeney, supported by research from Haunted US head writer, Mitch Goth. Production assistance by David Sweeney. Our executive producer is Brandon Ruxey. Haunted Atlas is a production of Haunted US. Visit hauntedus.com for more information.